The more picks.
The tank doesn't get any better
More
without
picks.
him.
Yeah, more picks, Corby. More picks.
But look on a dude's Twitter and every single tweet, refs. Dude, shut up.
I had so much faith. And you know what? Corby, he's not shooting 50% true shooting anymore. I'll give you that much.
Welcome back to the Talk Yours podcast. Let's just go ahead and get right into the very first topic. We have a lot to discuss. Jayson Tatum, unfortunately, a couple of days ago, tore his Achilles in nearly the end of the game of Game 4 as the Celtics go down 3-1. Honestly, Tatum throughout the entire game just looked like he was getting hurt constantly, and I feel like sometimes it just kind of adds up. The body can only take so much. He had to leave with 2 or 3 minutes left or something, and it's a torn Achilles. So most likely that there hasn't been a timetable given so far, but he's probably gonna be out the entirety of next season, if I had to guess.
I would assume so.
Maybe he comes back in time for the playoffs, but this kind of injury is just not something you want to rush. But the Celtics, they do kind of have that championship window where they might rush him back. But yeah, he'll definitely be out the rest of the regular season. And it really just does suck. This is a guy in his prime who's been killing it. Not so far in the playoffs, really, I'd say, but just in general, he's probably going to end top 5 in MVP voting. And the Celtics window is not a very open one, in my opinion. Would you agree?
I would definitely agree with that. And getting into more of the specifics of it, obviously Porzingis' contract is up after next year. Horford's contract is up after this year, and I would not be surprised if he retired. They could re-sign Porzingis. That's kind of their only option other than a sign-and trade because they have so much money tied up in Tatum, Brown, White, and Holiday. Speaking of Holiday, he's going to be 36 by the start of the 2026 season, which I think we're both in agreement. That's probably when Jayson Tatum will return. Derek White's going to be 32. Jaylen Brown's going to be almost 30. This window with this core is definitely closing. Pritchard is the one guy who's going to be under 30 that they'll have on contract who you could mark as a significant contributor. I guess they have Sam Hauser under contract too, but how much of a difference is he making if you don't? He's not like a guy you're going to put in the starting lineup and expect to replicate any sort of production that you've got right now. So
no, for sure.
So yeah, between the money and the age, I think it's going to be really difficult for them to be this competitive when Tatum gets back in 2026. So for that reason, maybe they'd rush him back. But I got to be honest, you can always build another team around a guy like Jayson Tatum, especially if you've got a co-star in Jaylen Brown next to him. You do not want to rush him back and alter the trajectory of his career even more than it's already going to be altered.
Yeah. So you mentioned, Drew Holiday, Porzingis, bringing them back, how much money is tied to them. Do you think do we want to get into offseason talk? I don't know. But I honestly, if Tatum's out the entirety of next season, maybe I pull a Spurs, a Tim Duncan kind of thing, where if we're already in the super cap, or what's it called again?
Is it the luxury? Is it the luxury?
I think it's
cap?
Luxury tax. Yeah,
it's the luxury tax is what gets applied when you're in that cap range.
Oh yeah, so the luxury cap. I think they try and just get off those contracts. They try and not be in that cap. You're gonna keep your pick next year because I think if you're in the cap for so long, you lose eventually a first round pick, and maybe you don't try and tank, but yeah, you kind of get yourself into a better financial situation because, Porzingis, you can bring him back, but how impactful has he been this year? How impactful was he in the playoffs so far? How impactful has he been last year in the playoffs? He wasn't at all. He was injured, but still, they won a championship without him. I would personally try and offload him. Drew Holiday, I'm for sure keeping Derek White and Jaylen Brown. So I would personally try and get rid of Drew Holiday as well. And maybe just, I don't want to say tank, but have a starting lineup with Pritchard in it. Maybe even Sam Hauser. Just make your team a little bit younger somehow. And just kind of develop your players. Jaylen Brown will have the ball a lot next year as a first option.
And that's true. But part of the reason why I'm hesitant to do that is because they are, even if they get rid of Drew Holiday and manage to just get picks back for him, trade him to a team that would want him and they get off a lot of his contract or they get on a short-term deal with a different guy, which, Drew Holiday's obviously been a really good player throughout his career, but at 34 years old, almost 35, what team is going to really, give up assets to bring a contract like that onto their team.
There's got to be a team.
Who though?
Like I don't know if Mike Conley's a free agent. I would try and trade Mike Conley for Drew Holiday. And they have picks. They got picks from the Karl Anthony Towns, Julius Randle trade.
I guess he does fit there. That's true. But
and there's probably a couple more. I mean, he's a defensive point guard. Not a lot of teams have that, unless their stars already. And even Drew Holiday can go to the 2.
Yeah.
You know, because like really, in Boston, he's kind of a guy who just sits in the corner, like and then cuts sometimes. Like he's not really doing too much in the offense. I think he could fit anywhere actually. Like. Almost.
Yeah,
anywhere.
I mean, he can fit in a lot of places, but it's more like, do you want to pay $33 million for a guy like that?
I think if you're a team where your championship window is right there, like even a team like, I don't know, Dort is really, even a team like OKC.
I wouldn't exchange Drew Holiday for Dort. I feel like Dort, just in terms of what he brings to that core, is more valuable than what Drew Holiday would bring, because I don't feel like they need like
and they have Caruso. They
don't need like a point of attack defender. They need Dort who can guard like 1 through 4 basically. Yeah.
I just think that in general, windows, and this might be a theme of this podcast, windows in general, or just like what I'm gonna say,
windows
right over there, are a lot short. Championship windows are a lot shorter in the NBA than people think. Like, all of a sudden, things could change. And, like, if you don't win it in that 1 year, and we could talk about the Cavaliers and maybe, I don't know. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. But, so, if your window is small, and let's say you only think you have another year or two, you want a guy like Drew Holiday. And, like, especially the Suns, if somehow you convince Bradley Beal to not waive that no-trade clause, like, the Suns could use him if they're still trying to contend. And then again, they might try and break it up. I think there's a lot of teams that could use Drew Holiday. There's a lot of teams that would take a chance or will just straight up sign, because is he a free agent, Porzingis? Is he
next year? So he still has got his contract through this year, and then he's a free agent next offseason.
I feel like there has to be a team that was willing to give the chance of Porzingis being great for them. Yeah, especially if it's a team that like needs spacing.
Okay, so I mean, all this is true, and I don't want to fall too far down the Drew Holiday rabbit hole, because I mean, so let's say the Celtics can get out from under his contract. That was kind of my point anyway. You still have $60 million in Jaylen Brown, $60 million in Jayson Tatum, and $30 million in Derek White. That's a lot of money still. Like, they're still in a Warriors situation where, you know, everyone was like, when they signed Jimmy to that extension, they're like, oh my gosh, you're going to be paying Jimmy $60 million, Steph $60 million, and Draymond $30 million. But that's the exact same position the Celtics are going to be in. And
are they actually making $60 million a year?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Both of them?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
How does Jaylen Brown, is that all NBA, I guess? That's how you qualify.
It was that all NBA, yeah.
Man.
So
wow. And then Derek White is deservedly $30 million. You don't get rid of that contract.
No, that's a good contract still. That's a good value contract. And Tatum's is a good value contract too. And even Jaylen Brown was your finals MVP.
That's true.
So you got to give him his due respect. But when you get to that $150 million point, it's really hard to bring new guys in. So in some ways, the only way they could bring new guys in is, you know, trade Drew Holiday and bring in a guy whose contract is of equal value, or like an equal value player or a younger player or something like that, and then try to sign and trade Porzingis or something like that. You know what I mean? That's the only – I just don't know how they're going to build a team financially without doing that, because even if they get out from underneath the money they're already tied up in, they're still going to be at a point where it's going to be hard to sign new guys, right?
Yeah, but I don't think – okay, so – that's $150 million between those three players. The cap next year is probably going to be like what, $190 million,
something like that.
The regular cap. So you still have $45 million of signing free agents available, and I feel like you can kind of split that up between two good role players.
Yeah, but Corby, that's also keeping in mind that they don't have. If in that situation they don't have anybody else on their team, they still have Peyton Pritchard tied up for $10 million. They still have Jared Walsh, who's on his rookie contract. Jordan Walsh. Jared. Is there a Jared Walsh?
No, there's not.
Well, I don't know what I'm thinking.
Spit on you.
No, you're good. But yeah, just so looking at.
But they have a bunch of rookies. They have. I mean, yeah. Look up their contracts, because Luke Cornett can't be making that much money. And Luke Cornett's been a good backup.
He's done after this year anyway.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. Okay. So next year. They have Porzingis making $30. So next year they would have to get rid of Porzingis and Holiday to have any chance of signing anybody, right? Then you have Hauser tied up for $10 million. You have Pritchard tied up for $7 million, and then a bunch of rookie contracts, right? So, yeah.
So that's like $25 million after those three.
Yeah. So then you've got $20 million to try to go sign somebody, which sounds like it should be enough to at least get one quality free agent and then sign some people on a minimum. But
Or you just split it up between 2 or 3 decent role players. Like I'm just being like this season and this postseason, Porzingis has not been great. I think you can get a guy, pay him $25 million, and he's playing just as well as Porzingis,
if not better,
if not better
in that role.
And yeah, you're going to miss Drew Holiday, but Drew Holiday, I mean, you already have Derek White. I'm not gonna say it's a little redundant because the more defenders you have that can hit a corner three, the better.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like I don't think you need a Drew Holiday.
You know what I'm curious about, and I apologize for leaning down here like this, but Jalen Williams, the other Jalen Williams for OKC, do you know what stage of his contract he's at?
He's making like probably $2.5 million. There's no way he got re-signed.
I'm just curious if he's a free agent. No, so it's a.
Oh, like when?
I don't know what that means, but
What?
it looks like they. Oh yeah, the amount not fully guaranteed, but he's still under contract for next year. So I was gonna say if he's a free agent, he'd be a guy that would fit really well in that Boston system.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Every time he plays starter minutes, he gets a triple double, which is so weird to me.
yeah, it is.
He has
weird.
like 3 different triple doubles this season.
I don't know, but yeah. I feel like next year you got to ride it out with this group. You got to, even with Tatum, you still have Jaylen Brown, you still have Derek White, you still have Peyton Pritchard, you still have Drew Holiday, you still have Porzingis.
I just personally think if they don't get rid of Drew Holiday and Porzingis in the offseason, then they're going to be stuck. And what I don't want for Jayson Tatum is to be in a situation where, like, yeah, he's had help his whole career. That's what kind of pisses me off about this injury is that, like, we've always kind of been waiting for Tatum to really prove himself in the playoffs, even though they won a championship last year. I mean, and don't get me wrong, he was great the entirety of the playoffs. But yeah, that finals was like, it was just so disappointing for me because like I wanted to see him hold up the finals MVP, and I still think he kind of deserved it, but I still think he should have done more to deserve it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't, I guess, earn it as much as he could have.
He just wasn't scoring. He was doing everything else. He just was.
Yeah, and that's the
score the
problem is when you're watching the game. It's like you said. It's like your position on the Shea versus Jokic thing, kind of. It's like scoring the basketball is, the best skill in basketball, and it's also the most obvious skill. So, like, with an award like Finals MVP, where you're gauging it over a 4 to 7 game span, and you're not really taking all this time to, like, sit and reflect on their game, scoring is going to be the thing that jumps out to you the most.
Scoring, yeah, and defense, because Jaylen Brown was taking that
and defense,
that Luka matchup. So it makes me really mad. It makes me even more mad at Tatum, just because, yeah, he's had help his whole career, and he just hasn't been able to, like, besides that, actually, there was one year where I think he got swept or like lost in 5 to the Nets in the first round because Jaylen Brown was hurt and he played amazing. Yeah. And I just feel like this is a guy who could be in those all-time talks. And now with this injury, like that really stops him because, I mean, don't get me wrong. He still, I think, leads the decades in a lot of playoff records because, he's made the playoffs every single year. He's had deep runs and stuff. But like, man, the injury is brutal.
Yeah. I mean, it's,
he's a top 5 player right now, or at least he should be.
Yeah, I mean, in the NBA right now, I would say he's 5.
Yeah.
But
it just depends on how you think about it, because Luka's a weird person to rank,
I feel like you still got to give him the credit of being above Tatum, though, just because of his body of work. You know what I mean? Like, this year was just such a weird year for him, being hurt and then being traded. And when we saw flashes of the Luka that we know, it was still, top 3 player in the NBA, borderline. Yeah. So, no, these injuries are an interesting thing that I've been thinking about a lot recently because after the Damian Lillard one, I started thinking about this. And I think I told you this, but I have kind of a theory about these injuries because I feel like we see more Achilles tears than we saw ever before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they've increased in frequency and any of these, like, severe ligament tears. Obviously, there's the argument that, well, players are moving faster, they're cutting harder, they're doing all this stuff that's putting more strain on their bodies, they're training harder. And that might be the case, right? But there's an interesting thing about that, which is that verticals have not increased significantly. Like, the average vertical at the combine has not increased significantly. The average sprint speed has not increased significantly. The average lateral speed has not increased. Like, these measurable things, and certainly that is just at the combine. It's not maybe accounting for the training they get when they get to the NBA, but, like, players aren't necessarily technically putting more strain on their bodies. I think personally, and this could be completely inaccurate, but this is just a personal belief. I think the fact that the NBA has gotten less physical and there's less of these minor injuries, broken toes, broken finger, bruised whatever, contusions, stuff like that will keep you out a few games. And allow you to kind of have a quote-unquote rest period. Even though you're probably trying to get back, it's still kind of a rest period. Not having that and having these players like play all these games consecutively because they're healthy, because they're going to play, I think it actually increases the risk of having these severe ligament tears and these severe injuries, right?
Yeah.
You think about like even I think that's why the whole load management thing started, is because these team doctors and these specialists identified like these players need to actually rest a certain number of games, most of them, right? You have your physical freaks like your LeBron James and your Michael Jordans and people who just like never miss a game, right? Except, I mean, obviously LeBron's 40 now, so he's going to get hurt every now and then, but most of his career has been pretty healthy. But I think they recognize like, oh, these guys need to sit out every few games or every whenever, because if they don't, it does increase their risk for these injuries. And then the NBA introduced this 65 game minimum, and you can argue whether that's affected how much players play or not, but I don't know. I think it does highlight why so many people are like the NBA season should be shortened, which will never happen because you have to keep it an 82 game season. It would make the record so inconsistent and the stats so inconsistent if you shorten the season. But yeah, it's just something it's just a personal opinion that I have, and I don't think it's something we're going to see go away.
But it's pretty weird because, I mean, these playoffs have been very physical.
They have.
Like, honestly, these playoffs have been more physical than I've seen any other year.
Yeah.
Of, like, at least the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. And there's still been, these injuries. So, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not going to act like I know any of the science behind it. I just kind of wish... Because it kind of seemed like kind of out of nowhere, this Achilles injury. So maybe that is just the body being weird, but...
He just never gets hurt. Is the weird thing too.
Yeah, and that's what, like, you can't rely on players. That's also like with the window thing. You can't, even if a player is healthy his entire career, one random injury could just deter all of that. So being like, oh well, obviously my superstar is gonna be healthy in 2 years. So if we just build to be good in 2 years, then that just never happens.
But also, you never know if you'll have a core that works together the way this one does right now. So yeah, that's why there's a hesitation to maybe break it up. Like maybe you can make it work with just Jaylen Brown.
Yeah,
if you really believe in him.
I don't know. I don't believe in him that much. That's me personally, though. I'm not the Celtics front office, but I wouldn't do that. You want to go ahead?
But yeah, let's move on to the next thing. NBA draft happened this past week.
Lottery.
Sorry, the lottery. NBA draft lottery.
The NBA draft lottery happened.
No, the NBA draft also happened. You didn't hear about it?
Oh, I missed it?
Yeah, no, they did it like that. Anyway, draft lottery happened, and obviously the number one story is the Mavericks getting the number one overall pick.
The draft, is the lottery rigged?
We've been known it's rigged.
Yeah.
Like, we knew it was rigged for a long time.
You know why we should have known they were going to rig it this year is because in the preview, they only showed like a couple different drafts that happened. One of them was the Patrick Ewing Knicks draft, which was also rigged.
Yeah.
So, that's like actually the most obviously like known rigged one besides like maybe Derrick Rose, maybe LeBron. Like it's like those three in my opinion.
I don't think maybe LeBron. I think definitely LeBron. LeBron himself has even said that.
Yeah.
So
honestly, definitely all three.
The question to me is not, is the NBA draft rigged? The question to me, at least to you, is, do you have a problem with it?
No, I don't care. I don't know. I don't think, like, do the Mavericks deserve the number one pick? No, but no team ever deserves it that gets it. And I also think, I personally like the NBA's lottery, the way that they do things. I saw someone on ESPN say that they wish the NFL did it because tanking should never be, like, tanking is the number one, like, I don't know. I'm trying to find the words to say it, but tanking should not be in sports.
It shouldn't be rewarded.
It should not. There. It should not be rewarded. There's no way that I show up to a game, and I live in Utah, so I can show up to a Jazz game, and they're resting players because they don't want to win games. There's no reason for fans to be mad that their team won the game.
Yeah.
So I personally love the lottery system. I actually don't think anyone should ever tank as hard as teams do. Mm-hmm. Like I understand that it gives you the best odds, but at the end of the day, we saw the Hawks win it last year, 10th best odds. This year, the Mavericks, what is it, like 12th best odds or something. Before that, we've seen the Pelicans win it. They had like the 9th best odds. Like it just, there's the only time I could even remember, a team that deserved it getting it was like the Pistons, I guess, with Cade Cunningham. You know? Like, and look, Dallas is a good market. If I had to say, they're a top 10 market in the NBA, maybe even like 6 or 7. Like Dallas is a very big area.
Yeah.
And obviously Adam Silver wants that to happen. I don't have a problem with it. The only problem I have with it is if you're going to rig it for an Eastern Conference team.
Oh yeah.
We need players in the Eastern Conference. Like this Eastern Conference, we talked about it last week. It should be prime time. It is the best time to watch. Most people live in the Eastern region of the United States. Most people get to get off work and then right after watch their teams play. And in the best hoops, all the good hoops shouldn't be past, like, if you live in the East, it shouldn't be past 11 p.m., past 12 p.m. That's insane to me. And obviously, you shouldn't rig it toward the East. But, like, yeah, the East is dying. Tatum just got hurt. Dame just got hurt. Giannis might be going to the West. You couldn't have at least given Cooper Flag or even, like, both of Ace Bailey or Dylan Harper an Eastern Conference team. The Spurs got the second pick. Because if you rig it for the first pick, you can rig it for the second pick. Mm-hmm. And I understand what Wembanyama is going to be prime time. So you do want, a guy next to him. I don't know. I'm not going to say it pisses me off because at the end of the day, I don't care. Mm-hmm. Like none of these players technically deserve any player. So you just getting any pick. I mean, my team won the lottery last year and I was still pissed because the draft sucked.
Yeah.
Like just being honest. I don't know. How do you feel about it?
I mean, I guess I would say it maybe like bothers me a little bit more just on like a standing of like, you're going to call it a lottery, you should treat it like a lottery. But generally, I actually don't have a problem with it because in a real sense, like, Bjorn even kind of, I don't know if he was kind of joking or whatever, but he made a really good point, our friend Bjorn, and that's, it's entertainment. Entertainment comes first. I get that you want, the Washington Wizards to finally have a good player, right? I get that the Utah Jazz were one of the worst teams in the NBA this year, and they should have a good player. But in terms of entertainment value, having a number one pick, especially one as highly touted as Cooper Flag, go to a team that could compete right away it could shoot him into stardom, both from personal success and team success right away. And yeah, no, we definitely need players in the East. I feel like the NBA kind of neglects the East a little bit in terms of like marketing and
I don't think so. I think genuinely it's just that less entertaining. Like I actually think they've kind of marketed it the same, but just no one cares about the East. Like I don't think the East gives you a reason outside of like the Pacers and the, like, in my opinion.
And even we can get into the Pacers later, but let's even talk about the Pacers. Are the Pacers really that exciting for the majority of the season? Are they a team that people look at and they're like, oh yeah, I want to follow this team? Right?
Unfortunately not. And it sucks because they've been a good team. They probably won like, what, 48, 49 wins?
Yeah. No, I think they had games. 50.
Did they hit 50?
I think they did.
So maybe, and you know what? Maybe if the NBA marketed them better, I would see them in a better light. So you never really know. Also with rigging the lottery, you do still have to make the right pick. I mean, Cooper Flag, is he guaranteed to be the best person in this class? No. Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey and even Edgecombe, and there's a couple guys who have the ceiling like Trey Johnson where, I mean, they could always be the best player. And it does suck. Okay, I will say, like, it's fair in the way that you can still trade up to the number one pick. It's not like the Mavericks like are forced in the situation of taking Cooper Flag. Now, obviously, it sucks giving up assets to get the number one pick, but we've seen teams do it. If they really like a guy, Philly traded up to the number one pick. Markelle Fultz. They traded away Jayson Tatum, technically. That sucks. But if you really believe in a guy, you trade up for him. The Wizards still can get the second pick. Yep. Tanking still technically works because you can still, if you trade your good players, you get assets back, and then you could use not only other people's assets, but your own to trade up. So, in my opinion, if I am the Wizards or a team like that, or even like the Hornets at pick 4, and I really believe in a guy like Dylan Harper, like Ace Bailey, or even Cooper Flag, I'm trading up for them.
Yeah. And I was going to bring up that point too. Like, the teams still have to draft the players, right? And we just talked about freak injuries. Cooper Flag could be the best player in the draft and still have a freak injury. And hopefully he doesn't, but it's something that could always happen. And Cooper Flag, yes, is the best prospect in the draft, but that's the keyword, prospect. He hasn't done anything in the NBA yet, so we can't look at him and say, you're the best player in the draft, right? Oh my God, this team got so lucky because they got you. We don't know that until he actually plays. Now, we all think that because of what we've seen from him, but we don't know for sure. And yeah, the teams still have to, like, the seventh pick could end up being the best player in the draft, right? Like, you don't know. The other thing I wanted to point out too is, like, I don't have a problem with the NBA rigging the lottery because it does set up more than just the number one pick to be interesting. San Antonio getting the number 2 pick, obviously that means Victor is going to have like a young co-star with him along with Fox, and you want, Victor to be on one of the best teams in the NBA, right? You want one of your best young player and probably one of the best players in the NBA to be on a team that's going to be competitive, right? Yeah. You look at Philly getting the number 3 pick. It gives them a chance to, like, kind of give the process one more chance, right? But it also gives them the capital to say, if we want to trade Embiid, which I think the NBA, a fresh start for Embiid would be really good for the NBA too. Then they could feasibly do that and also say, we have Jared McCain, we have Maxey, we have this number 3 pick.
I also kind of don't like that. You know what? You want to just talk about the top 3 or maybe even top 4 picks when we talk about this lottery? Yeah. So obviously one, they're picking Cooper Flag. Yeah. I like it because I'm actually going to make a video on it, but Cooper Flag is the best prospect, and you're going to have Anthony Davis as a co-star in that rookie deal that Flag will have. You'll have Anthony Davis, not in his, I'd say like slightly like a little bit out of his prime, but pretty much
it's
in
still
his prime.
Anthony Davis.
Yeah, it's still Anthony Davis. He's still a top 10 player when healthy. Mm-hmm. But like the number 2 pick, who would you pick right now? Just to get the top of the head. There's obviously, I think the easy 3 that you pick between. I've even seen some people say the Duke center. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I feel bad for that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not even going to try. Some people said he can go as high as 2, but personally, to me, it's between like the 3 top players left. And I don't even know who you pick. Dylan Harper, in my opinion, is the best prospect, but you have Castle, you have Fox. Is Castle he was Rookie of the Year, but is he good enough where you don't take the best prospect available?
I mean, yeah, that's tough. I would personally go Ace Bailey at 2. I just feel like he fits well next to Victor. And
they definitely need some shooting.
Got there, so I would personally take him at 2.
Because I think he'll be a great 3-point shooter.
That's tough though, because Dylan Harper might not even go 3 because Philly has Maxey and McCain already.
And they have Grimes, by the way.
Oh yeah, and Grimes too.
Is McCain or Grimes good enough though not to take Dylan Harper? Like Dylan Harper to me, it reminds me of like a Cade Cunningham. He might be as good of a prospect as Cade Cunningham was.
Right, but the thing is, like, that's a what if.
No, not okay. A little worse than slightly worse than Cade Cunningham.
But it's a what if. Like that's like saying, remember how good people thought Scoot was going to be right away, and he could still be really good, but he has not been like great out of the gates. He started to turn it on at the end of this last season, but when you're a team in the position of Philly and you're trying to compete, you want the surefire thing at the positions, right? Jared McCain was going to be Rookie of the Year before he was on trajectory to be Rookie of the Year before he got hurt, right? Tyrese Maxey is probably like a borderline top 5 point guard in the NBA.
Right.
Right?
Oh, wait. Oh, no.
No?
I don't know. Top 5? Point guard? Maxey?
Brunson, Cade.
Steph? Shea?
You would put... Okay, this is the tough... Even though... Obviously, I'm a Warriors fan. Would you still put Steph above Maxey?
Yeah. Because Steph's done it.
Yeah, but he's done it. But I mean, like, right now. You know what I mean?
But even right now, like, Steph was a mate. Steph won them, even only playing half a game. He won them a game in the second round against the Wolves. He did. Like, I don't know. Like, that's how I see it.
No, you're right. But
if Steph didn't have those 13 points...
Don't get me thinking about it right now. I got to watch that goddamn stupid-ass game tonight. Jimmy Butler's going to take, like, 5 shots.
Steph is still, like, the hardest guy to guard. Well, one of the hardest guys to guard in basketball still. He's gotten better defensively. Like, don't downplay your player. Come on, he's better than some Tyrese Maxey. That's some Tyrese Maxey.
I mean, give Tyrese Maxey his respect too.
I'll give him his respect, but I'm a bigger fan than you are. I have Trae Young still over Tyrese Maxey. Are you kidding me?
Ooh.
You know the load that he has to carry.
The load he has to carry.
When Tyrese Maxey has the load, they win 20
carrying
games.
that load
they win
so
20
well.
Games. They win 20 games with him.
Yeah.
Yes. Are
and
you kidding? Did you just see last season? You can't bring him to wins? Dyson Daniels next to him. Muhammad Gay was starting next to that dude. And
you don't want to hype up your number 1 overall pick? What about Onyeka, Corby? Your favorite player?
Onyeka's great. Risa went 1 for 10 in that playing game. We should have made the playoffs.
Game.
We would have put up so much. Dude, the Cavs, who just lost in 5, they had a couple injuries, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, but destroyed the Heat. I don't want to get too far into like my Hawks fandom, but the Hawks put up a fight. We win 2 games against that Cavs team. We might still lose the series. We win 2 games at least. That still pisses me off. I still love Risa Shea. But yeah, I don't think Max. I mean, I still think Maxey's really good. The point guard position is just stacked.
Okay, so whatever. Maxey's not top 5. He's top 10. He's probably top 10.
Yeah,
he's whatever. Like star. You know he can do it. You know McCain can do it. But you know Grimes can do it. Do you really want to like go and draft a guy to supplant one of those other guys in the hopes that he can do it better instead of going and getting a guy that could fill a void for you?
But can McCain not just be like a great 6-man? Like, do you see that much star potential in him where you don't pick the best prospect available?
I mean, he was a rookie and he played half a season. He was the best rookie. Granted, it was a weak rookie class, but there's been lots of guys who averaged 15 points a game in their rookie year and then took off in their second year. I feel like you have to give him the opportunity to do that.
You do, but also I do think if it came down to it, I mean, it's not ideal, but Dylan Harper, no, you don't want him playing the 3. I think he can play the 3 at spots.
Yeah.
But I still think he can. Okay, but here's what I want to ask. You're stuck with Paul George. We talked about Porzingis and Drew Holiday's contracts. You can move them easily. You can't move Paul George's contract.
No.
Now here's the predicament that the Sixers are in. They could do 2 things. They could, 1, just give up on contending immediately because of the Paul George contract, and they draft the best prospect available. Let's say it's Edgecombe or Dylan Harper, whatever. Or, because you know you're stuck with Paul George, you decide like you just really want to win some games, and you just trade this pick. I've seen a couple
trades. That's what I was gonna say too.
Like honestly, I like this trade for both sides. The Nets have pick 8. You swap picks. And I think the Philly has to give up a couple, like just bad role players like Eric Gordon and a couple older guys. But so it's pretty much pick 8 and Cam Johnson for pick 3.
Yep.
I think for both sides, like yes, Dylan Harper will be a lot better. But if Philly wants to win next season, and you bank on Embiid being healthy, you can still get a very impactful guy at pick 8. And then you get obviously Cam Johnson, who's gonna slide in at that 3 spot. Move Paul George to the 4, which is not ideal, I guess. But
I mean, yeah, and getting like a legit.
You can get Concunapple, you can get the Duke Center, you can get, there's a lot of impactful guys.
I mean, you start thinking about it, you get Cam Johnson, you get Concunapple, you get Jared McCain. That's a lot of shooting. Like to.
I think if Knupple's not available, you have Trey Johnson off the bench. You have the guy at Oklahoma, Jeremiah Fears.
So there's ways to go. There's ways to go for Philly. But yeah, and then you get down to 4, Charlotte.
It probably has to be Edgecombe. Edgecombe is like,
yeah,
I wouldn't trade it.
They got to trading up. They got to trade LaMelo. They got to commit to the tank. I'm sorry. Like at this point, just for the NBA, get him somewhere where he is actually gonna like be worth watching.
But what do you mean commit to the tank? They suck with it.
Exactly.
He doesn't play.
So fully commit to it.
But also he doesn't play.
So trade him.
They're still taking with it.
Get some value out of him. Get some.
They can't draft. They have LaMelo at 2. They have Brandon Miller at 2.
Yeah.
They have LaMelo at 3.
Yeah.
Brandon Miller at 2.
Yeah.
Miles Bridges was actually like one their like good pick, right? Mark Williams, decent pick. I don't know. He was like what? Right out. I think it was pick 15.
Yeah.
He's been cool. They can't draft.
So give yourself more opportunities
Malik
to
Monk.
draft.
They couldn't do anything with Malik
Corby,
Monk.
James, can they trade? Can they sign? Yeah, there's a lot of guys who want to go to Charlotte right now.
How much money, man? There's no way. They should have a ton of cap space. It's just LaMelo and Miles Bridges. Who else are they paying?
LaMelo and friends.
Who else are they paying?
Well,
They got a couple guys that are cool though. They have Nick Smith Jr. I still think he's good. They have who's been really good recently? It was like
None of them.
that's true.
Okay, so through next year. Damn, LaMelo's on a good contract too. He's only making $37 million next year.
Oh yeah, because he's never made All NBA.
Yeah, so
Or maybe 1 year.
$37 million. Miles Bridges is making $25 million. Yusuf Nurkic is making $19 million.
Oh, wow. Why did they trade for that contract? Who did they get? Or like, did they get a draft pick or something? That's a brutal contract.
I don't know.
Yusuf Nurkic?
Yeah.
I'd cut him. Is it guaranteed?
Yep.
Ew.
Josh Green, $13 million. Grant Williams, $13. Brandon Miller, $11 on a team option.
Dude, I forgot Grant Williams existed. What did he tear his ACL? I think
he might have. Yeah.
Like, that's brutal. Man.
Yeah. So they have a lot of not a lot, but like so they in total they have $151 million to their payroll next year for everybody.
Oh, so they still have like 30
they still have
million.
like 30.
They have someone
they
can
could go
sign.
sign somebody. Yeah.
So you draft Edgecombe.
But the thing is, they're gonna overpay somebody because they're the Hornets. If you go out in free agency and your intention is to go get a big name free agent, they're gonna end up giving like Jared Allen $40 million or something like that.
Ooh, that sucks. Yeah, but is trading LaMelo the way they have not? Brandon Miller's the only promising piece they have. That's crazy.
Corby, what else are they gonna do?
They just
ride it out.
They could still win the lottery next year with LaMelo. That's what I'm saying, though.
The part of it, though, that I will give not credit, that I will say, like, oh, maybe LaMelo should stay in Charlotte. That dude likes being in Charlotte. I don't care what anybody says. That dude likes playing, like, 30, 40 games a year and just, like, getting to do whatever he wants.
I think he gets a very median amount of attention, where it's not LA, that he's getting a ton of attention, but, like, the Hornets fans and the IG people love it. Like, his IG loves him. And so he could do some crazy stuff, and like IG people care, but like no one else cares. So I think he loves Charlotte, and I just don't think
he doesn't get any bad media. Like
no, but also what team is looking for a LaMelo Ball? Like obviously there's teams that like obviously LaMelo's a talent upgrade, like for most teams. But how many picks are going to get back for him? He doesn't play. He's inefficient. Like, let's just call it what it is. He's a great player, but he's inefficient.
Let's think about this, Corbett. Let's do the math. 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges. Now, I like Mikal Bridges, but LaMelo Ball should command more than that.
But more teams are looking for Mikal Bridges than... Also, that's a one-off. That was a stupid trade. I don't care. The Knicks could win the finals for all I know. You didn't have to give up 5 first-round picks.
Maybe they did.
I guess they were, bidding with the Grizzlies? I guess, dude.
Yeah.
But... I don't know. LaMelo Ball, yeah, like more teams are looking for a connecting piece like Mikal, who's, been top 3 in defensive player of the year, who can shoot. I mean, in Phoenix, he was able to shoot the 3. Even now, I'm like, oh. But he has that like weird pull-up mid-range from 9 feet that just always goes in.
Yeah.
And a lot of teams, like we talked about how stacked the point guard position is. Houston would be good.
Yeah.
Does Houston have to give up that? I mean, I guess like, do they have to give up 5 first-round picks though? How many teams outside of Houston?
That's a lot.
I guess Minnesota, but Minnesota doesn't have their picks, so they don't have.
Would
much
Minnesota want LaMelo Ball?
Dude, LaMelo and Ant would be like cinema. Like
yeah, it would be. It'd be fun to watch, but would it actually work?
It's better than Mike Conley. Does it work better than Mike Conley? In my opinion,
Ant might choke out LaMelo on the court.
Why? Dude,
because LaMelo's gonna pull. Oh, actually, no. They both do stupid shit.
Yeah, dude.
Never mind. Yeah.
Dude, no, I'm not gonna lie. It's like when you have It's like when you and your friend are in class in high school, and it's like individually you're pretty good, but like
you sit at a table together.
You cannot pay attention anymore and just that. LaMelo's showing off his.
You gotta get like
Ant's gonna get grills.
You gotta get like separated.
Ant's getting veneers next to LaMelo.
Oh my god, they're gonna ruin each other.
But yeah, that's pretty fun. We can move on to the next one.
let's move on. So next topic, we've hinted at it. Poked at it. Cavs Pacers.
What we were completely wrong. I'm gonna apologize first off to any Pacers fan.
My bad.
Except a lot of Pacers fans, because dude, Pacers fans, and I get it. Pacers fans do. The refs don't like the Pacers. Like I'll admit that, and I've never been a person to root for the Pacers, but like I just watch it sometimes. And like last night's game, the free throw differential was huge. I'm not gonna say that the Cavs didn't deserve more free throws, but like it shouldn't have been as wide as it was. Donovan Mitchell's whistle is insane.
Yeah,
because like I actually think no other player is getting that whistle right now in the playoffs. Like like maybe Shea,
Thank you.
but Mitchell's is worse than Shea though. Like, dude, Mitchell does, and I'm telling you, he like the way that he draws contact, it's not as bad as Shea right now.
No, and I was actually going to say that I was going to give you a little bit of credit for Shea, or just a little bit credit to Shea. Shea, sure, he does foul bait a little bit, but it's more so that I think he has one of the best whistles in the league than it is that he's intentionally like foul baiting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's more just that he gets those calls a lot for whatever reason.
Because I feel like players still do it. Players still try and do it, and they just don't get the whistle.
Is that his fault because the refs give him that call? No.
I just don't know why Mitchell gets it though. I guess like they're the best team or whatever, but yeah, no, like I think he was getting some insanely petty calls. But yeah, Pacers fans still, as much as like they aren't getting the calls, if you go online, they are the like most bitchy fans when it comes to like all they talk about. Do I look on a dude's Twitter and every single tweet refs? Dude, shut up. I had to unfollow some people because I'm like, dude, this is pissing me off. Because you could talk about it once or twice throughout a game, but like eventually, okay, you're just not getting the calls. Like, there's no point of you keep complaining about it. But yeah, the Pacers 1-5. We both said like it wasn't going to be close. I don't remember our exact predictions.
I said Cavs in 6, and that was even after the Pacers. You said Cavs. You said you wanted to say Cavs in 5, but I think you said Cavs in 6 too.
Yeah. And it didn't even go 6 games, and it was not the way we wanted. So
I
will apologize. I'm gonna apologize. Yeah. Dude, Miles Turner has been absolutely amazing.
The perennial trade piece.
Like I was kind of thinking about, Tyrese Halliburton, where this puts him in the rankings or whatever. And I do feel a lot better about Tyrese Halliburton after these last 2 series, but he's not like the big reason why they're winning these games. I think it's all the role players. Andrew Nembhard looks like he can't miss this series.
I mean, I would still say Tyrese is the biggest reason why they're winning these games because of what he does offensively.
Like he's the best player. Like he's playing the best.
That's what I mean. Like of any individual contribution, he's still giving the most.
But I still think stepping it up, like Aaron Nesmith's defense, his hustle, his rebounding has been good.
Yeah.
Miles Turner has been not only protecting the rim, but like, dude, the way that he shoots, like he's probably 40% for the playoffs so far.
Yeah.
He has this weird pull up mid range I never thought he had, but like he will just shoot it, beyond the free throw line and it just goes in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nembhard, outside of like I think those first 2 games where there was a game he had like 8 or 9 turnovers.
I mean, the first game he had 23 points.
But yeah, but all around, like he's been a bucket. Last game I think he shot like 8 for 12 or something around that area.
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously Tyrese Halliburton has stepped it up. But the one person who's been pretty disappointing, at least in my opinion, Pascal Siakam did not have to do much to win this series.
No.
And it wasn't a good matchup. You have to go against like Evan Mobley constantly or like Jared Allen. But yeah, shout out the Pacers. They're proving me wrong. Back-to-back conference finals appearances. How many teams can say that?
Very few.
The Celtics did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be so much thinking. I'm not even.
Celtics, Warriors, Rockets. Just thinking in like the past few years, the Mavs didn't have back-to-back, but they had 2 in 3 years.
Oh right, yeah.
But back-to-back is hard. Like when you think about it, the Knicks haven't even been to a conference finals since 2000.
Wow, that's insane. Melo never did that.
No.
Jalen Brunson might be the greatest Knick if he
Which
won
is
the chip.
is another thing to be stated too. I feel like, yes, Indiana was the 4th seed, right? So maybe they don't deserve as much credit as the top 3 seeds in the East. But there's definitely big market bias for these other teams. Like,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I get it. Carmelo Anthony is Carmelo Anthony, but the Knicks never even made a conference finals with him, and he's this like highly regarded like Knicks legend, right? Tyrese Halliburton has had more success in Indiana than Carmelo Anthony ever had in New York.
But I'd still say he's not. Would you say he's individually better?
He's not individually better, but there's a level to it where like, I mean, these like quote unquote New York legends, would they be legends like for other teams in the same way that they are for New York? Patrick Ewing, I get.
It's kind of just Melo though. Like who else is seen as a Knicks legend that like
Walt Frazier?
I think he deserves
Willis
it.
Reed. John Starks is one that I am a little bit weird about.
I don't think people are calling him a legend.
Like, John Starks is like Jamal Murray, but worse.
Yeah.
They never won a championship with John Starks. You know what I mean? No, he's definitely... Corby, every time he's courtside at the game, they pan to him.
I mean, that's like I think any Knicks player, any former Knicks player.
Any former... They won't even let Charles Oakley in the stadium.
I mean, that's true. No,
Like-
and I don't blame him. Don't keep that man away.
But no, dude, it's just like one of those things where New York's big time because it's New York, and these players are going to get more attention. But it was I saw an interesting point. I don't want to get too far off the topic, but I saw an interesting point, and I just wanted to bring it up. Someone said one of the main reasons why the NFL is more successful than the NBA is because they successfully market all 32 teams.
Oh yeah,
right.
And that's commonly
their
known.
best player is in Kansas City, Missouri. Not even Kansas City, Kansas. Kansas City, Missouri. Right.
Yeah.
Their second best player, obviously, is either in Baltimore or Buffalo. Those are big, markets. But
Right.
they manage, regardless of where the team is, the team draws attention. And I did want to also say something about the NFL draft. You brought it up earlier, how they should do the lottery system. I really like how the NFL does their system because of the way the NFL is. It's a once a week league, right? Your team plays once a week. There's only 17 games in a season. Every game matters, so you want every game to matter. You get to the end of the season, and there are like this year, there was like 4 or 5 teams that could have all gotten the number 1 pick, and it was all in the last day of the season. And you're paying attention to all the games. You're like, well, if this team loses and this team loses and we win, then we get the 5th pick. But if we lose and this team wins and this team wins, then we get the first. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I still think in that, and it still happens in the NBA even with the lottery. But you are still rooting for your team to lose in the last couple weeks.
Hell yeah, I am. You think I wanted the Raiders to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars? No.
No. Yeah.
I mean, we got Jonty though, so I can't be unhappy.
Yeah, that was a good pick. But yeah, also shout out, dude. He's like the most boneheaded player I've ever seen, but sometimes it works out. Thomas Bryant was actually showing some good minutes. I swear, he either does something really good or really bad. Like it is.
Thomas Bryant has grown on me a lot.
I thought he was unplayable, like unplayable, but no, he's been good.
Dude, he just like
Ben Shepherd finally is in the rotation again, hitting shots. Jarris Walker, they took out Jarris Walker, I think, after the first game, which is a good decision. He was not. Yeah,
I've never seen like a big be an energy guy in
Yeah.
that way that Thomas Bryant is. Like usually it's like a scrappy guard or maybe like a Lou Dort or somebody like that who's a wing defender. Not a big, but dude just comes in and brings like energy.
he runs.
Not even like the Kevon Looney way where he grabs rebounds. No, this dude is just hustling the whole game.
Which just fits Indiana's play style perfectly.
Oh yeah, they need a dude like that.
Because they love to run.
Yeah.
But yeah, Halliburton was obviously amazing. I'm actually even trying to think though, this Halliburton run might be better than any kind of Melo playoff run. Like I maybe I'm blanking on a couple series, but like
I mean, Melo, I'm sure statistically had very impressive playoff runs, but
Halliburton's like showing up in the fourth
I
quarter.
gotta
when
be
it
honest,
matters.
back-to-back series with a game winner. Like
Crazy.
Cleveland takes that second game, you don't know where the series goes. It's coming back 2-2 to Cleveland instead of 3-1.
Yeah.
Maybe Cleveland comes out with some more fire. But
Getting that rebound, not calling a timeout, shooting the three when you don't need to. Like it's
They
just
had a
it's so
timeout.
iconic. And we'll remember this play. I think that this run is so much more memorable than last year's Pacers run.
Yep.
Especially because there were injuries that they had to play against, but it wasn't as much. And they're playing better teams.
let's be honest. Cleveland was healthy enough to win this series if they were the better team.
By the way, though, some people are trying to give Garland slack for the series, and I understand it because he did get hurt, but he got hurt 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, they even said in the regular season it would be a 1 to 2 week injury.
Yeah, he got
So,
15 days of rest.
Like he had enough rest to be at his level.
So yeah, we talked about how good the Pacers. By the way, I'm just gonna spoil it. I think I might have the Pacers just making the finals because I'm I didn't doubt them in the first round, but after beating the Cavaliers,
Yeah.
Can I ever doubt them again?
The only reason I don't think it'll happen is
I mean, the Knicks are
all right. Let's obviously the series isn't over yet, but let's just say the Knicks are going to the conference finals. As good as Tyrese Halliburton has been, as good as any of those guys have been on the Pacers, Jalen Brunson has been on another level. And you get to the conference finals, sphincters tighten up, hands get a little sweaty. When I have to say, do I want to bet on these role players to perform or do I want to bet on Jalen Brunson to perform? I'm going with Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, and they really don't have a guy to guard Jalen Brunson. But even if you have a guy to guard Jalen Brunson, that's why. Okay, I don't want to do like a whole preview, but the Celtics technically had the guys to guard Jalen Brunson, and he's still was unguardable because that's just how good of a scorer he is. So maybe the better matchup is a team that has no one to guard Jalen Brunson, and you just solely rely on your offense killing that defense.
I mean, that's exactly what they did to the Pacers. Or sorry, not the Pacers. That's exactly what the Pacers did to the Cavs.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have anybody to guard Mitchell or Garland. We both said that. We were both like, they don't have a point of attack defender to guard these
That
guys.
didn't
They're going to
matter.
get abused. Didn't matter. They just scored more than them. That's it. That is the hilarity of the Pacers. There is no like there's a game plan, right? There's obviously like things that they do and things that they do well. Their overall plan is we're going to score more than you. And that's it. That's all that they have to do. It is the simplest plan I've ever seen, and it works better than almost anything I've ever seen.
It's like the logic that a 6-year-old would think of.
And it works.
Whoever scores more wins. But and it's like, yeah, obviously Jalen Brunson's better in my opinion than Halliburton. But who are you going to rely on to make more corner threes that are wide open if you double them? Nembhard, Neesmith, and I guess Siakam, or Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, and OG. I'm low-key I want to bank on the Pacers role player.
And that's true. Here's the thing, though.
Jalen Brunson's the best player.
Well, actually, OG's been hitting, and Bridges has been good too.
He has,
like,
but
Josh
you have to
Hart,
do a whole nother
playoff
round.
Josh Hart with that 3-pointer, like,
Yeah.
and Karl Anthony Towns.
Got to do a whole nother round. Miles Turner though.
You do, but like, I mean, here's my thing. When I look at the Knicks, I see a team. When you look at the Cavs, what the Cavs had a lot of, like, they were a team that just worked really well together, right? And sometimes that'll take you far, and sometimes, your holes get a little exposed in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
The Knicks have the personnel to do everything that you want to do on the basketball court, right? They can guard Indiana shooters, theoretically. They can guard Halliburton. Like, it's tough, but they have better personnel to guard them than Cleveland did.
Theoretically, but no one's been able so far. I mean, I guess, yeah, they have not played. I mean, then again,
Okay,
the
but yeah.
Cavs were like one of the
Corby,
best
the
defensive
Milwaukee,
teams.
the Milwaukee,
Or the best.
Yeah, they were, but there's a level of like team defense versus individual defense that rears its head in the playoffs, right? Your individual defense needs to be as good as your team defense. It's like the thing you always say: you need a good point of attack defender to win a series, or not win a series, to win a championship, right? The Milwaukee Bucks were awful on defense. Giannis was their like only legitimately good defender.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, the Cavs were 6th, I think, this year in defense.
Yeah,
So
they
weren't
were
top
a good defensive team, but when you go down the line of their individual defense, obviously Mobley's a good defender, but they actually don't have a good point of attack defender.
maybe a playable one. They have a Coro.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, you're sacrificing.
I'm gonna go off the logic of I haven't seen anyone stop Tyrese so far, and I don't think I ever will.
And I haven't seen anyone stop Jalen Brunson so far. So,
yeah, that's fair.
but anyway,
All right, let's go back to the
Knicks.
Cavs,
A Knicks
though.
finals would be better for the NBA. I think.
Yeah, but like the Pacers are.
But yeah, I don't know. Let's shift focus to the Cavs a little bit. If you're Cleveland, you just had one of the best regular seasons in franchise history. Your best regular season since LeBron left. Theoretically, you should be primed with this core. I mean, they're still young. They're still, you're going to retain everybody. You should be primed to, well, Ty Jerome's a free agent, but
Yeah.
you should still be primed to have a really good regular season next year. But do you run it back with the same group again? Because you can't even use the injury justification to be like, that's why we lost. You lost to a team that you should have been much better than with home court advantage, and you lost in 5 games. And
Also,
Donovan Mitchell was good.
Mitchell was good. Last game, though, was pretty brutal. But
Yeah, but overall, I mean, I would say he gave them opportunities to win games.
he did. The one thing that concerns me, and it's why I think Jared Allen not only should be moved, but probably will be. Jared Allen was healthy the whole series, and any game that Mobley played, I don't think Jared Allen closed the game. I could be wrong in remembering that because Mobley missed just game 2, I believe, and I think Jared Allen closed that game. But yeah, the rest of them, yeah, like last night, Mobley was at the 5, and I'm not gonna say it worked out because they lost, but it's just overall the better fit. I mean, we all kind of knew, at least me going into the season, I'm like, well, I still don't think Mobley and Allen is the best fit. Now in the regular season, they proved me wrong, but the regular season, like you kind of expected the Cavs to make the postseason. It's not that hard to make the postseason. You have to actually do well in the playoffs. I just don't think it's not the best fit. And I think Jared Allen, you could still get value for him. Like he's not a free agent. I don't believe.
So do you think that they would be better off moving Mobley to the 5 and inserting a guy into their starting lineup? Like, I don't know that I get him, but let's say Cam Johnson. Because I think that makes them better. I think giving them that shooting and that length makes them better than having Jared Allen.
I think it does, but also at the same time, you kind of want a guy. Cam Johnson isn't like a bad defender. You might just want to go ahead and get a guy who's a great defender, but then also who's going to play the 4 if you just get a point of attack kind of guy. That's why, like, honestly, I don't want to be the guy who said I was right, because the Cavs won 65 or whatever games.
Yeah.
So they proved me wrong in that sense. But I don't like the idea of a small backcourt of Garland and Mitchell. Even if like they're both like all right on defense, you need a point of attack guy. And I just don't think that can be. It can be your small forward if like the shooting guard is tall enough to guard threes. Neither are. I think it's a flawed roster, and I think yes, you can say that they took this jump, they got a different head coach, that was the difference. They got Ty Jerome, they got DeAndre Hunter in the middle, and they should be their windows should be there. Mm-hmm. But this core's been around for 3 or 4 years already,
Yeah.
So like, how much better will they be? What's the determining fact? I guess if Garland hits a couple different shots and he plays every game, you can say that they only went 1-2 with Garland, but Garland has had these injuries. It seems like to me every year. So is he a guy you can rely on? I don't know.
So you think you trade Garland?
I think I don't want to say you explore it, because the second you explore it, then it's like you kind of have to. I mean, I guess Miles Turner was obviously a guy who like was always in the trade rumors and never got traded, but Garland's in a kind of a different tier than Miles Turner. Where like you ask about now, all of a sudden maybe Garland asks for a trade, because I think that's like a little bit of what happened with Fox, where they wanted to explore Fox trades, and then all of a sudden I think Fox just said, okay, if you're doing this, then I just want to leave. Like, you can't do this. I'm not going in this John Collins, Miles Turner era where you explore options and then you just don't trade me.
Yeah.
Where I'm at risk of losing my job every day, even though I'm the star.
Yeah.
So I just think personally for fit, if you truly believe in Donovan Mitchell still, because he did have a great series, even if he missed, like when he slowed down on that fast break and laid it up and got blocked, that's when they lost the game last night. Mm-hmm. That's brutal. Like, why would you do that? One, you want to get your, I know maybe you want to save your legs. You don't want to dunk, because some players kind of think that way, but you're at home. You dunk that ball in the fast break, you don't slow down and you dunk that ball, the crowd goes crazy, the fan goes crazy. Like,
it shifts momentum.
It shifts the momentum.
Yeah.
And him doing that, him obviously missing, even though he hit a 3 right after, he missed 3 straight free throws after getting fouled on a 3. Do you believe in Donovan Mitchell? Personally, if I was the Cavs, I would. And is Garland the best fit? I don't know. I would even contemplate, well, one, Drew Holiday. Well, obviously, well, the Celtics have to give up a lot of assets to get Garland back for Drew Holiday, right? But just the idea of, at times, Mitchell can be a point guard, and he kind of was in this series.
Yeah,
we've seen, he has amazing vision. He makes amazing passes that you'll see on House of Highlights every 2 or 3 weeks throughout the regular season. Personally, I would say trade both Garland and Jared Allen. I like I said, it's a common theme. I don't think windows are as large as people think. Yeah, I think this was the year to win it. Mm-hmm. They're only going to get worse. Like, there's no way they go next season and they win more games or they're more successful. And yeah, only the postseason really matters. All you have to do is make the playoffs. But the chemistry was on point. They traded like the guy in 2nd or 3rd place for 6th man of the year mid-season. Yeah. So they had 2 of the best bench guys, and neither one really showed up all too well. I think Hunter had like 1 or 2 good games. Ty Jerome was only good for 1 game, the game they won. Yeah, he was terrible the rest of the series. Oh my gosh. So yeah, do you want to rely on these role players, or I don't know? Like, they're in a tough situation.
Yeah, it's definitely not ideal.
I think Mobley can play the 5. I think I would want like a backup 5 who would move Mobley to the 4 sometimes, but you'd start Mobley at the 5 ideally. Yeah. Even though, like, yeah, I don't know. Like, there's been a lot of teams this year that have been successful playing a big 4 and big 5. You can say, like, I mean, Randall isn't an average power forward because of, how well he moves and how well he shoots the ball. Mm-hmm. But, they kind of had their own kind of twin towers. I'm kind of blanking on teams that have had twin towers this year. I feel like there's been a lot.
Yeah.
You could say, like, I guess Paulo and
OKC.
Oh, yeah, OKC, obviously, with Chet and
like,
Hartenstein. That's who I was thinking of.
Houston with Steven Adams
and Sengun.
So
the NBA is getting slightly bigger when it comes to the front court. So maybe you don't want to move off that, but I just don't think it's a recipe to win unless you are a power forward like Chet, who is so versatile. who is so like good on the drive. He can block shots. He can shoot the three decently well this year so far. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they do. I'm not gonna like. This is why like I'd love to be an NBA GM personally because I think I have a good mind. I mean, obviously I don't have like the experience. I don't have whatever. This is not a situation I want to be in though. After losing this game, where it's like now what do I do?
Because I mean,
you could easily regret trading Jared Allen because the Mobley Jared Allen duo was so good in the regular season.
Yeah.
But then if you could regret not trading him. The same thing could happen next year.
I think the biggest thing is you can't just sit on your hands and do nothing just because you had a successful regular season. I think you definitely have to go out and make some moves, fill out the roster in a better way.
And also, they were amazing. I'm so mad at myself because before the pod, I was thinking of this question and I never looked it up. How often do teams lead the NBA in three-point percentage in back-to-back years? I feel like that's like something that just isn't consistent.
Yeah, it's got to be pretty rare. I mean, maybe the Warriors during their like peak years.
Yeah, maybe like during like 15, 16.
Yeah.
Maybe even 17, 18, whatever.
The Rockets, I don't think ever did.
No, they just took a ton.
Just volume.
Because I'm pretty sure the Cavs are both volume and percentage. Like that's just how good of a shooting they were.
No, it's pretty rare.
And I just don't think like this was the season to win it, where your shooters are hitting all their shots.
Yeah.
Because is Ty Jerome going to be this good of a shooter next year? I don't know. Is DeAndre Hunter going to shoot 42% from three? I don't even think so. And I love Hunter, but like I think that was just kind of like a one-off season kind of thing where I still think he's really good, but he's not going to shoot that well. Is Max Strus going to be as good of a shooter? That dude went 0 for 9 in Game 5. Did you see that he texted everyone on the Cavs before the game?
I didn't know.
He was literally saying like, if you're not here to play, then don't show up. And then he went 0 for 9. I mean, he was still good at hustling and played decent defense, but no, you can't go 0 for 9 as the shooter.
Yeah.
They're in a bad situation. I also don't like their young players. I mean, outside of like the core, obviously, that's been there for 3 or 4 years, how many guys do they have coming up? Maybe Craig Porter Jr. Dude, did you watch when Craig Porter Jr. came into the game? It was probably like Game 4. That dude.
Corby, I didn't watch much of Game 4 after the first half. I got to be honest with you.
Wait, was Game 4 when it was a blowout?
Yeah, Game 4 was a 40,
it was
a 41-point game at halftime.
So maybe it was Game 3.
I mean, it would make sense if it was Game 4 when he.
Oh yeah, because the Cavs won Game 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest reasons, I guess they had Craig Porter Jr., who's like 23, 24. That dude went into the game and like got 2 steals like immediately, and it was in the like, steals that led into a wide open fast break dunk. They have him, I guess. They have Imani Bates. They have a bunch of these guys where it's like you don't want to rely on these guys to be your young core. Sam Merrill's the only good one I can think of.
Yeah,
and even then, like he's just kind of a shooter. Even though he did like, I think it was Game 1 or 2 that he went like 4 for 5 in the first half. They should have won that game.
Yeah.
I don't like the future of this team. I said it before the season, and I'm not going to say I was right because they won 65 games, but I don't like it.
And that's fair. I mean,
the one thing I do like though is Mobley was way more versatile than I thought. This dude's pulling threes. Crazy.
If he can continue to develop his offensive game more,
then maybe Jared Allen. But it's the fact that Jared Allen didn't close these games that worries me because this is a dude that didn't get hurt. He was healthy. If anyone was going to not close the games, it was going to be a guy like Garland or Mobley in my eyes, or like Hunter.
Yeah.
And no, that didn't end up happening. I do think, the Cavs, if they don't trade any of these guys, they need to get an actual 3. I'm sorry, it can't be Max Strus in my opinion. It has to be a guy who's taller. Because I don't like this whole 1 through 3 is below 6'5". I don't like that idea. The only time it works is if they're all pesty defenders like OKC.
I mean, hey,
OKC could do it.
Hey, keep doing it. We're gonna have to start calling them the suburbs in the skyline.
What?
The suburbs in the skyline. You know, because the suburbs, like when you look at a city, the suburbs go like that, and the skyline's like that. Yeah.
And Mobley and Allen is the Twin Towers.
The Twin Towers.
Of the skyline. Yeah, I don't know what you do, but it just pisses me off. They should have won this series and they didn't, and that worries me for their future. If they go into the same situation next year, do they win this series against the Pacers? I don't know. I don't want to rely on that.
I got to be honest, Corby. I don't think they do. Because this was their best chance to win, and they didn't even put up like a fight.
No. Because I even think those 2 games in Cleveland that Indiana won, their shooters, and I guess correct me if I'm wrong, the shooters were hitting their shots. Yeah. It was more of like a defense thing. It was more of like a hustle, weren't getting as many rebounds.
I mean, I'm sorry. How are you down 41 at home in Game 4? I mean, how? It actually doesn't even make sense to me. Or they weren't at home. They were in Indiana because they lost at home.
Oh right, yeah.
But even still, you're down 41 in game 4.
And this is a team that like they weren't super injured throughout the regular season, but they had guys just rest randomly, and they were still whooping teams by 40 in the regular season.
Yeah.
So as much as they had a couple injuries, no, everyone was healthy in game 4. Everyone got enough rest. Mobley and Hunter only got like a couple games or a couple days because they did get hurt. But like it didn't look like the injuries were affecting him that much. In fact, Mobley was one of the guys who actually got hurt and didn't get much rest, and he was the one who was like really good this series, in my opinion. So. Yeah, that's my tangent. Cavs lost. I think they should trade the whole team. besides Mobley, I just don't believe it. Sometimes I think regular seasons are fake, and we saw that with a team like the New York Knicks, who were amazing shooting the ball throughout the whole season in 2021 and lost to Trae Young in 5 games. Yes, of course, I'll bring that up.
Oh, of course. I mean, speaking of the Hawks and regular seasons that did not belie playoff success.
Yes, let's talk about that. Oh my gosh, I completely forgot. People comparing the Cleveland Cavaliers to the 60-win Hawks in 2015 are stupid. We lost to LeBron James 3 years straight. I actually think we got swept. Maybe we got swept 2 years straight, and then one of the years we lost in 5.
Yeah.
We lost to LeBron James only. We made the conference finals, I think, in 2 of those years. This Cavs team lost to Tyrese Halliburton. I respect Tyrese Halliburton. I'm going to respect the Pacers' run. I don't think it's any Mickey Mouse run. It's a good run. Mm-hmm. It's still Tyrese Halliburton. It's nothing near LeBron James. So the fact that the Cavaliers are being compared to the Hawks, no, the Cavaliers are below the Hawks. Give respect to the Hawks. We lost to LeBron. Okay?
Yeah.
I guess you'd also have to give respect to the Raptors those years. And those, I think the Hawks are better in those years than the Raptors, personally. DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry. Ugh. Give me Kyle Korver. Yeah. But, like, yeah.
Give me the better Kyle.
And then, like, so obviously, I'm not going to say my own team was fake. But, yeah, the Hawks were never supposed to win in the regular season. Or, sorry, in the playoffs.
I thought you were just going to say the Hawks were never supposed to win.
Just period. And obviously, Mitchell is a guy who can lead his team to a playoff run. So he's better than anyone the Hawks ever had. Mm-hmm. But as we've seen, we haven't seen the Cavs go that far. They've never made the conference finals with this Mitchell core. They made the second round last year. They were hurt last year, so I give them credit. And they lost to the Celtics, who ended up winning it all, right? I think they did. Yeah. They lost to the Celtics.
Yeah.
But I still think this is kind of out of nowhere. I guess Kenny Atkinson fits the Cavs more, but just saying that they replaced the coach and that's why they got better. JB Bickerstaff is like a better coach. Honestly, I do want to put some of the blame on Atkinson for this because there were multiple instances where the Cavs should have won specific games and they didn't. So I don't know. You definitely don't change your coach. That's for sure.
That's the first thing I will say, or the one thing I will say for the Cavs is they do have a first-year coach. So maybe you do keep this core together for one more year just to see, okay, second-year coach, a little bit more experience, see if we can adjust some of the things that went wrong.
Yeah.
Like, aside from Steve Kerr, what first-year coaches have had, like, a tremendous amount of success? I guess Joe Mazzulla. But both those guys, Steve Kerr and Joe Mazzulla, were handed, like, perfect rosters.
Also, Mazzulla's been terrible as a coach.
That's a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's all I have to say about it. If you wanted to.
Yeah, I don't have much more to say, so.
So we could just go ahead and run through real quick just because it is we're in the middle of the second round, you know. There's still a couple series to talk about. We can talk about, you know, the Celtics and Knicks, but we kind of already did. We can move over to the West. Last night OKC took the 3-2 lead in a game where throughout the entirety of the game I believe the Nuggets were going to win. Outside of the very first minute or 2 minutes where OKC started with a 12-2 run. I always thought the Nuggets were because Jokic was unstoppable. And Aaron Gordon was great. Jamal Murray, not really. In that fourth quarter, though, Jokic went I forget what he shot. It was probably something crazy, like 7 for 10 or something. And then the rest of the team was 1 for 15 from the field in that fourth quarter. OKC takes the lead. I want to attest to OKC's defense is really good, but also the Nuggets just beat themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Jamal Murray was getting some good looks.
Yeah.
That's disappointing for a guy who's the greatest playoff riser ever.
Jamal Murray made some great layups throughout the game. Jamal Murray did some things throughout the game that were incredible energy plays. Michael Porter Jr. MPJ. Mr. Must Put Up Jump Shot.
Dude,
What you know what? I get the shoulder thing. I get the argument, but it didn't bother him when he first heard it.
No.
That was just a bad shooting performance. That was just awful. Like I mean, and it wasn't just that he was missing shots, it's that he was taking shots he had no business taking in that situation. I get it, you have a lot of faith in your guys because they've won a championship and because these guys have contributed in the past. But if you're Jokic, you just have to take the ball at that point. Yeah. Like, but I'm not going to put that on Jokic at all. He had 44 points on 17 for 25, 15 rebounds, 5 assists.
No, Jokic played great. I wouldn't like even a guy who likes to criticize Jokic because like I think it's fun. No, Jokic, it was not his fault at all.
He was the best player on the floor.
I mean, if Jokic had Dort on his team, Jokic would have won.
Dude, Lou Dort hitting 3 straight threes and Michael Porter Jr. can't do nothing but scratch the rim. What are you going to do if you're Denver at that point?
I don't know. It's funny because as a Hawks fan, I could never relate because I can't think of a time where we had a player paid that high that was that bad of a contract. Like, I can't fathom my favorite team having a player on his team that the contract's that bad. Like, he's getting paid $35 million and he's putting up like this isn't a one-off.
Yeah,
he does this consistently of having 7-point games, 9-point games, 5-point games.
There's a questionable contract on the Hawks.
I'm trying to think of who.
Oh, you know,
like Clint Capella or
just
something?
Trae Young.
What? All right, bro. Maybe DeJounte Murray, I would have said, but I don't know. Actually,
you hated that guy.
But also, DeJounte's contract was like it's less than Michael Porter Jr.'s, and DeJounte was doing way more.
Yeah.
I actually can't fathom that though. Like you have to move off of this guy.
That's crazy.
They haven't lost the series yet. It's only 3-2. You're going back to Denver.
As much as Draymond pisses me off as a Warriors fan sometimes, I still think his contract is good value for what he brings.
Yeah, it's like what, $30 million?
Yeah, it's still great value. Like.
And he's Depoy level? Yeah.
I don't know, dude. You're going back to Denver. You obviously have a chance to win there, but that's 2 winnable games that Denver's lost in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And that's a huge problem if you can't. OKC is the team that should be having trouble closing the games out in the fourth quarter, not the championship, Nuggets, like the team that's won the championship and been there.
Yeah. Shout out to dude. Like, I don't like using plus minus because it's so misleading, but this is one of those instances where plus minus. Like the actual plus minus was good, and like if you just use the eye test, you could have guessed it. Chet Holmgren, like whenever he was on the court, he was just cooking. Like, did you see the play where Chet Holmgren like he faked the dribble handoff and then he just cooked? He just blew past Aaron Gordon 1-on-1.
Yep. To
like a wide open dunk. That is nasty.
I don't understand why Chet can't do that more. I don't know if it's just him working within the offense or his own personal whatever, but I feel like he's a mismatch for almost everybody on the court.
Literally everybody. He's either too lengthy and too fast, or he's either too lengthy for someone or too fast.
Jokic can't guard him.
He shouldn't. He
shouldn't be able to.
So that's why sometimes I kind of think like Hartenstein, like he's been great defensively this series, but when he's on the court, it is kind of take away from what Chet can do. Because I've always seen Chet as a 5 personally. Like I know some people they're gonna see how scrawny he is, they're gonna think he's a 4, but he's an amazing rim protector.
Yeah.
His defense was great too.
Yeah.
Last night, the Nuggets beat themselves, I think, but also Chet was playing great defense.
But yeah, I mean, Gobert could guard him well, if
probably
Minnesota, which they probably will, goes to the conference finals. We can get into that in a minute. But
also at least I wonder what's gonna. I mean, I don't want to preview that series yet because nothing's guaranteed.
Yeah.
Because if the Warriors win, we can talk about the Warriors.
Nuggets could still win if the Warriors. Yeah, we could talk about the Warriors.
But also I wanted to say something about someone. But also like Aaron Gordon, you also shouldn't get blown past by Chet though. Like that was
no.
like just a crazy lapse.
And
to me
maybe
that
that's just a one-off. You know what I mean? Like
Aaron Gordon like is always pretty good defensively. Yeah. The one thing that like the reason OKC won, kind of in my opinion, is they just kept leaving Christian Brown open, and that dude was not hitting shots. I can't believe I compared him to Derek White. Derek White's never missed.
Got outshot by Lou Dort.
That's insane.
But yeah, I mean, Denver could definitely very well win Game 6. I just think Game 7 back in OKC.
If Jokic gives you 44 and you still lost, I don't know.
I don't know, man. It's
I guess letting Jokic beat you as a scorer works, but it's not. It's a Jokic.
I got to be honest. Given how the last 2 games went, Denver should be going to the conference finals right now.
Denver?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they were up in the fourth quarter of both games, and if you are the more experienced team with the player who's playing better. Like, I would say Jokic and Shea both didn't have, like, great games, Game 4.
Yeah.
Jokic definitely they had better games in Game 5, but Jokic definitely outplayed Shea. So if you have the best player on the court and you're up in the fourth quarter, there should be no reason why you lose the game.
Yeah, but I also think there's a coaching difference, you know.
Yeah, but how much? Okay, I got to be honest with you. How much of coaching is Lou Dort hitting 3 straight threes? How much of coaching is Michael Porter Jr. not being able to smell the rim and Jamal Murray going cold?
Let me tell you why.
It's not coaching. The players just aren't hitting their shots when they should.
I think the best coaches take the biggest risks when things are going bad. He didn't take a single risk. He just kept his stupid starting 5 out.
Corby, what's the risk?
You put in Julian Strother. That dude went in
He
the game.
did. He was bad yesterday.
What do you mean he was bad?
I swear I didn't see him make a shot.
He went 1 for 2.
Okay.
He's a 3-point shooter. If you can't rely on Michael Porter Jr. and Christian Brown is missing all of his shots, then you put in the shooter.
Yeah, but what else? What else does he bring to the table?
That's all they needed. They went 1 for 15, Cam.
But
they
Corby,
went 1 for
you
15.
take out. So even though Michael Porter Jr. is not this high level defender, he's still a large body, right? He still takes up space.
I think you see a guy who hasn't hit a shot. He went 1 for 7 for the game.
Yeah.
He hasn't hit a shot all game versus a younger guy who's going to put in more effort defensively. Maybe he's not as good defensively even. But he's also not injured right now. Like, he's been on the injury report the last couple weeks and finally is healthy. Gets into the game within 2 minutes, hits a 3, and then you just take him out. Like, I just think they were better with him on the court.
Yeah. But I don't know, Corby. I feel like of all the teams that you could point to and be like, you needed to make an adjustment, you can't really say that with the Nuggets.
Oh, wait, but hold on. It doesn't have to be a Michael Porter Jr. It could have been Christian Brown. That dude, the whole game plan was to leave Christian Brown open.
Yeah, but Christian Brown's not a 3-point shooter. That's not what he's known
Then
for.
you put in a 3-point shooter. You have to hit shots.
Instead of Christian Brown.
You have to
you
hit
take
shots.
out
Yes.
you take out either your first or second best defender on the court, and you put in a guy who's just a shooter.
I didn't see him defending nothing last night. Let me tell you something.
Let me tell you something.
They had a 10+ point lead. Shay's gonna cook, but look, man.
Corby,
I'm big on Strother. I think he showed good minutes in his first 5 minutes of being in the game, and I think he should have closed that game.
Corby, I'm just gonna go back to it. If you give me a prop that's Lou Dort 3 straight threes, or you give me like a scratch-off lottery ticket, I'm taking the scratch-off lottery ticket. Are you kidding me?
Okay, I would not.
Lou Dort 3
I would not
straight
say
threes?
that because Dort is literally a guy though who will either go like 4 for 5 from 3 or 0 for 10. Like we've seen other playoff games this year where he's gone like 4 for 4 from 3.
He hit a contested late shot clock 3 over Nikola Jokic. It just wasn't meant to be. I'm sorry.
That's your opinion. I think he got outcoached. Let's move on.
But
okay, what?
No. So what did I want to say? Oh yeah, I don't feel like you can blame it on like making a different choice to go to the bench because the Nuggets bench depth is shallower than a kiddie pool. Like literally, who are they going to go to?
So I guess the 3 that did play was Peyton Watson, Russell Westbrook, Julian Strother. I say you go to Julian Strother. You don't like that. Well, how about you go to...
You don't like that.
Well,
God.
guess what? Who's the actual best defender?
Why didn't you give me an option I do like instead of complaining about me not liking stuff?
How about you go to the actual best defender on their team, Peyton Watson? Was he that bad last night? I don't think so. He missed a couple shots. Sure, everyone missed a couple shots. Everyone was bad except
Jokic.
So go to your actual best defender.
You know, it seems like Jokic is a pretty valuable player for that team.
Yeah, he is. In the playoffs, he's a very valuable player.
One would...
let's give him.
He was the most valuable player on the court. One could say.
Yeah, and when OKC wins the trophy, wins the championship, let's give Jokic the most valuable player for the playoffs. Except that's not a real award. It's the regular season, and we're not going to have this discussion.
And he was better in the regular season too.
Whatever. Look, let's just move on.
Listen,
Warriors.
Let me have my one bit of joy before I got to talk about this godforsaken series.
Okay, go ahead. Are you done with the joy? Oh, okay.
No. The joy was talking about Jokic. Now I got to talk about my team. Number one, obviously coming into the series, Minnesota was the slightly better team on paper already. I think Golden State had the coaching advantage.
Steph was hurt.
Steph is hurt.
I mean,
that's not. Listen, I hear a lot of Warriors fans saying, if Steph wasn't hurt, it would have been a sweep. If Steph wasn't hurt, we'd fight
definitely not all that.
Whatever, bro. Okay? Listen, it would still be a close series. Having Steph would definitely help. Where is Jimmy Butler?
Oh, yeah,
Where did he go? Where is he gone off to? Is he off selling coffee in the middle of the game? As he already decided that he's going to go visit Rachel Nichols after the game? Like, what is going on? 9 shots in game 4 at home. That is inexcusable. And it wasn't even that. It wasn't even that they were guarding him well enough to the point where he couldn't get to his spots. He was getting to his spots and passing out of it. When Brandon Pajemski is more of an offensive option than you are, and that's a whole nother deal, because even though I really love Pods and I love his defense, he has been ass. Like, he's been awful. Corby, like...
What did we talk about literally last pod?
I know, Corby. I know. I had so much faith. And you know what? Corby, he's not shooting 50% true shooting anymore. I'll give you that much.
I swear it's like 43.
It's definitely dropped. He's shooting a goddamn fall weather high for his true shooting percentage. Dude, just like, oh, and you know what? The one saving grace. I told you all this too. Jonathan Kuminga having a good series has made this so watchable for me. I hope the Warriors hold on to him. But even if not, he's got his confidence back. I have faith that he's going to go be a good player. I love Jonathan Kuminga. Everyone else, can you pull your head all the way out of your ass and actually like play like a basketball team?
I like the visuals you're giving.
Like I'm sorry. They have had 2 games now at home where they were up in the 4th quarter and lost the game. There is a chance, at least it should be 2-2 right now. There's a chance it's even 3-1 if Jimmy Butler decides he wants to turn into not a 5th option on the court. And look, I know they got blown out. They weren't up in the 4th quarter last game. They got blown out in the 3rd quarter, but they were up at halftime. I know they got blown out, and the final score says it's closer than it was. But the most frustrating thing, Minnesota left their starters in the whole time. The bench comes in, and they cut the deficit to 10 with 1:15 remaining. You're telling me the bench in 3 minutes of run can make more headway than a starting unit led by Jimmy Butler? And I get that Jimmy maybe wants to facilitate other guys, maybe wants to do that. That's a first half problem. The whole thing they talked about, the whole first half, Jimmy only played 18 minutes. Jimmy, even if he played the whole second half, would play less minutes than he did in game 3. This was his chance. It's like, okay, Jimmy, we've got the lead. Everyone's playing great. Now you go ahead. You've got all your energy. Go ahead and do something. Puts up 4 shots the whole second half. Like, it's just so infuriating to watch a guy who is very clearly the best player on the team and doesn't act like it. Like, I'm sorry, I would rather you take a tough contested mid-range shot than Brandon Pajemski take another goddamn step back mid-range. I'm sorry, with the shot clock expiring. Like, I can't. It pisses me off because they had such an opportunity. And look, if they can win tonight, it's still a series because Steph could come back in game 4. But Draymond Green said something interesting after the last game too that really irked me. And he said something along the lines of like, you know, we don't need Superman. If Steph can come back, we know he will. Right? If he can play, we know he will. And Steph came out and said, even if I could be Superman, I wouldn't want to be.
Wait, what?
Which I think that was what he said. So I could look up the exact quote, but it's like, you're telling me a team they can't win a game without Steph, a singular game, when Anthony Edwards was having like, now he's playing good, so now you're fucked.
Yeah,
but
he was not.
He was
great.
bad. They should have won game 2 in Minnesota, and just like don't even. So I can look up the actual quote, but
go ahead and look up the quote. I'll go ahead and start. Yeah. Julius Randle. Everyone was kind of saying that Draymond was just gonna absolutely clamp him and all that. Julius Randle's been great. He had 2 different triple doubles, I believe. So he's been good. But yeah, Jimmy Butler's kind of been the reason. You got to take the shots. Like you beat with that 8 seed. You not only led an 8 seed to the finals, but I think the most impressive part about Jimmy Butler bringing the 8 seed to the finals is that first round against the Bucks. Like when he played against Giannis, and then he just literally just took over games. You're only 2 years past that, and you're still just as good of a player. We've seen these moments happen in the regular season, but we also seen in the regular season him be this passive player.
I don't get it, because he doesn't look any worse physically. If he's genuinely just older, then that's one thing. But I have not seen anything from him that says this player is older and this player can't do what he's doing. It seems like a mental deal. It seems like he genuinely doesn't want to be the first option, which is baffling to me. And I hope tonight he proves me wrong. I will be the first to say I was wrong. Thank you, Jimmy Butler. If he comes out tonight and performs well, even if they lose, all I want to see from Jimmy is like 20 to 25 shots. I want to see him and Kuminga be the centerpieces of the offense, and I don't want to see another Brandon Podziemski floater with 2 seconds left on the shot clock. I swear to God, I saw that like 5 or 6 times in the last game. He's their bailout. Like
that dude has no touch. I'm sorry. Like I
even if he did, he's their bailout. They're giving it to him with they're handing him a grenade and saying, "Go do something against Jaden McDaniels." What? Anyway, the Steph Curry quote was, "Even if I wanted to be Superman, I couldn't." It wasn't I wouldn't want to be. It was I couldn't. I think he's just talking about where he's at with his injury.
He's not dropping 40 in Game 6.
He's kind of already ruled himself out for Game 5. Game 6, even if he comes back, it's still going to have to be the other guys too.
All right, there was a little bit of an interruption, but there's really not much more to say. Cam got everything off his chest. So if you guys liked it, comment, subscribe, comment, whatever you want us to talk about next. Obviously, we're going to talk about the next round. But after that, I don't know. You let us know. And like the video. It helps a lot. Anything to say?
Nothing. But we appreciate y'all watching this. If you made it to the end, we really appreciate it. We know these are long, but we put a lot of effort into them, and I think we enjoy the content we make, and we hope you do too. So if you want to keep seeing more of it, subscribe, keep paying attention to us, and that's about it.
Peace out.